This is Sparta!
Hi guys, Dell here from Spartan Racing. So I just wanted to cover off some of the adjustment that I've been doing on my CSW V3 pedals. So I've got this video split up into a couple of sections, and what I wanted to go through is show you the amount of movement and force I was using on my brake. Then have a look at the software and the adjustments I make in the software, and then have a look at the adjustments I actually make on my wheels. So there'll be like three sections to this. So the first section is going to cover the amount of movement and the way my brakes are set up, and then we'll move on, go onto the software, and then finish off with the adjustments on the wheel. Hopefully this will help some people. It's something I was playing around with the other night, and it really has made such a difference to the way that my braking is now in the different sims. Okay, so to start off with, you'll see in this next video the actual the brakes themselves and how I've got them set up. So you can see these are the V3s. Now I've got dampers on mine. I've actually got a damper on the accelerator as well. I just like that little bit of extra resistance that it gives. But as you'll see from this top view, if I show you the amount of movement I've got, it's really short. So there's about 10 mil of movement from off to full on, and I've got the damper dialed up pretty tight. I'll see if I can get around and see what number that's on. That's hard to say, but yeah, very little movement. It actually feels a lot more controllable rather than having it sort of slopping right the way back, you know, coming way back and then way forward. So I've actually found this works really well, and it's kind of representative of a lot of the what I understand is the movement in a lot of the really high-end pedals. Okay, now I do have the Endor brake mod inside here. If you want to know which settings to use or which rubbers to use that go inside here, the Inside Sim Racing guys have a really good video, and I just copied what John Sable had, what he did on for the types of rubber configurations that he had in there. And as anyone who's got these, who's got the Endor mod, they'll know that the different coloured rubber stoppers have different tensions. So that's what I've done on this one, is I've just copied what he had, and I can't quite remember which were the colours. I think it was one red and one green, but check that video out on Inside Sim Racing, and it's actually quite good, and he did a lot of testing. So yeah, so as you can see, the movement is really short. All right, okay, so now we'll have a look at what I had to do in the software. Okay, so now to have a look at the software. So I'll open up the Fanatec properties page, select the wheel, go to properties. As you can see, I've got the BMW wheel, and this is the adjustment on my brake. So as you can see, it's pretty quick, pretty short. So what I did was I firstly set my minimum and my maximum. Sometimes sometimes what you can do is, if you just rest your foot on the brake pedal, sometimes you can get this sort of effect where you're getting a little bit of signal coming through. So if that's the case, when your foot's just resting there, because especially if you're running, so if you do, so you're on a GT3 car and you're running left foot braking, you sometimes have a tendency to rest the foot on the brake, and that will activate. So you can actually just set a new minimum. I've actually got my minimum set okay, so I can rest my foot on the brake without actually activating it. The other thing is, if you put your accelerator down, I found in the past that sometimes when I pushed on the accelerator, I'd get this sort of little effect as well of the brakes, and it seems to be like a little bit of signal, well, contamination, for want of a better word. So if you're getting that effect, or you're doing this and you're getting this sort of, you can see your brake jumping, then set a new minimum, and that stops that. So what I did was I firstly went in and pushed my brake as far down, as hard and as far down as I could, till it just wouldn't go any further, and I set a new maximum. So I hit the set max, and as you can see, it sets new max. So I've got my min and my max set. And this is the way I used to run. So I would, you know, be coming down a straight at say Monza before before those really tight S's, and I'd hit the brakes, and of course, as you see, it would activate really quickly because usually you're going down pretty fast, and you know, if you've got other cars around you, you'd sort of slam the brakes, and I was sort of locking up, or I was trying to balance it a lot to not lock up, and then if I wanted to trail brake a little bit, I was finding I had to be very careful of my trail braking. Then what I realised that on the wheels, on the Fanatec wheels, you can go in and change brake force. And I never really played much with it. So if, for instance, on the BMW wheel, there's a little black button next to the LED screen. If you click that, that takes you into, if you've got Fanatec, you know this stuff. It takes you into the 5 presets, S1, S2, S3, S4, and S5. So I go into my first preset, and then I flicked the toggle switch across until I got to where it says BRF, or brake force. And then what I do is I would push my pedal all the way down as far as I can, as tight as I can, and then I would just start turning the brake force from 100% right the way back to it comes to off. And as you can see, as I went from, you'll see on the next part of the video that I've gone from about 13 or 14, and as I start reducing, it starts taking the brake force off, and I can just turn the wheel, and I've still got my foot flat down on the pedal, and I'm just turning the wheel, and what it's doing is it's slowly starting to engage the brake, and I'm up to about 12, and 12 sort of full on, but that's with the brake pulled down really tight, so it'll push down really hard. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to now just brake as I would assume I guess I would brake if I was coming down a long straight and I had to brake relatively hard, but not, you know, slamming my foot through the floor. And I then would just dial up a little bit more, and I get to about 15 on my wheel, and that gives me the feel that I kind of want from the brake. Now, what it also does is it makes this movement from off to on a lot smoother, a little bit slower and a lot smoother. And what I found was my trail braking now is really nice and smooth. It doesn't seem as jumpy as what I was getting in the past. It wasn't as sensitive. And in a way, I guess this brake force, turning the brake force dial just allows you to take a bit of the sensitivity out of your brake. So it does make it a really nice smooth transition from off to on, and also allows you to control your trail braking like I'm doing here. Okay, so I hope that helps. Let's get the next video up showing, or the next part of the video showing the adjustments I made on the actual wheel. Okay, so here we go. This is the next part of the video to showing the actual adjustments on my wheel, and hopefully in the background you can actually see the little blue bar moving up and down from when I'm pushing the brake. So to make those fine adjustments, basically what I did was press the little black button, and on the other wheels, the F1 wheel and the Xbox wheel, you can got sort of similar adjustments. And then all I did was I just moved the switch until I got to where it says brake force, and if I turn that, you can see that that's at 100. So when I put my foot flat down on the wheel, sorry for the vibration noise of the vibration motors, what I did is I turned this right down until it was off, and let's see, you can actually see, so if I turn it, you can now see the blue bar on the screen in the background there starting to kick in. So what I did was I pushed my pedal down to where I think I'd really want my full braking to be, and then I just made the adjustment until it was to the top, and now that's how you can set the brake force. So what you can do is, for depending on the car or the track, you can actually just come in and make incremental adjustments to this to actually either sharpen up your brakes, or you know, or have them to a point where, you know, you feel comfortable. You know, some cars might, you know, that have ABS or don't have ABS might need a little bit of smooth adjustment here, and as you can see, as I'm pushing, the lights on the bottom are coming on to full, so it's sort of showing me where my braking zones are. And so this is how, I made these sort of incremental finer adjustments. And like I said, this can be on a per track basis, on a per car basis, or just, you know, one size fits all, I guess. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. Anyway, guys, look, thank you very much for all the great feedback I've been getting on my videos. Subscribe, like, leave a comment. If you've got any better ideas, please let me know and I'll pass them on. But again, as usual, enjoy the hobby. It's fabulous, and anything I can do to help, please let me know. Okay, thanks, guys.